Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about gear, what you should be buying, what you should not be buying, and why you should be saving your money probably. I've been shooting photography for around 9 years now. I'm a surf and lifestyle photographer here in San Diego. Let's get right into it. So this is super important and something I've been thinking about a lot since I've been having more clients. It's doing a lot better on YouTube and content wise as well. So I'm like, man, I really want to upgrade my gear. I really need this, and this. I need another camera, second body. I need a new lens. This is the f4. I need the f2.8. I need the f 50 mil. All of these things, like there's just an unlimited amount of gear that you can buy. Even regarding cameras and GoPros and microphones and all of this stuff. Like I recently bought a computer last year. Really did help my workflow, but that's because my other one was slowing down so much I couldn't even download YouTube video. So things like that, and that's kind of what I'm gonna go over. But why this matters is because there are so much people, and really every photographer, content creator goes through this, is when you're like, man, I'm seeing all this new gear release, I need this gear. Do you really need this gear, or do you want this gear? Because I've gotten gear that I said, man, I need this gear, like this, and I just have not used it as much as I thought I would. That's the honest fact of it is, hey, like this 24-70 that's on my camera looks amazing. I use it for surf photography. I use it for portraits sometimes, landscape photography, YouTube videos, all of my video content, I have that on. That lens is probably on my camera 90% of the time. 90% of the time. And that's the first lens that I got with it because I knew that from videos that I've watched. I also have this lens, my 1-400, a 50 mil. And I barely use those lenses. I've used those lenses a few times since I've had my R5 for around 2 years now. So that's just crazy to think about, but there are so many people with even way more lenses than that, way more camera bodies. Man, I need a second camera body because what if something happens on a shoot and you never use the extra camera body? And there are so many instances where you're basically just throwing money away. And as a photographer, I know we personally are not making a ton of money. Unless you're shooting crazy client stuff for, 20 grand a pop, or shooting all this crazy stuff with a lot of portraits and doing them every day, you really are not making a lot of money, especially with how much gear costs, your time, all this Adobe stuff. All of this adds in so much expense that you really want to be able to cut that down. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So first off, what we actually look for in new gear. So first off, when we're talking about cameras and lenses, these are the most important things that I look for. So first off, autofocus and subject tracking, which is so important, and a lot of things in the new cameras, which is really why I got the R5 actually from my Canon 70D, because I'm shooting surf photography and sports photography as well. Having that tracking is a game changer. Like, you don't even understand. My photos before, having bad lenses and upgrading to things like this with just crazy focus, it's a game changer. I mean, I'd be shooting baseball and it would be focused on the ground when some guy's running by me. Or maybe like a piece of dirt flies up and it focuses on that dirt and it just ruins a crazy photo of them winning a game. All of this stuff just totally messes it up, and obviously you can't be using manual focus shooting photos in a situation like that because it's just changing so fast. You need to have a really solid camera with those features. So that's the first thing. Burst, and then frame rate, buffer, sensor readout. All of these are the key if you're gonna be shooting sports and surf like me. And even if you're shooting things like videos like this, having that sensor readout, all this burst and frame shots, like this is so important and something that you really need to be looking at with, hey, how many photos can my camera take a second? Because that's really gonna be the key and really a differentiator if you're shooting certain things. Also, how it performs in low light, ISO performance, video specs, the build of the camera, weather sealing. Something about weather sealing is my water housing flooded a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now, 1.5 years ago now, and my camera survived, and it was full of salt water. And I took it to Canon, and they're like, yeah, some water got in it, but it should be okay. That's like unheard of. And I know there's other cameras that have great weather sealing as well, but that's something that you want to look at. That was a 50 mil f1.8, not even a L series lens that is technically water sealant, water resistant. That just shows you need to get a camera that's weather sealant if you're going to be around the environment like that and around the elements. If it's going to be raining, if you're around the ocean, if you're just anything like that, so important and really the key, and save my camera, save me a couple $1,000s. Also, the lens ecosystem, having a good lens ecosystem is crucial. And I know a lot of people talk about this with Sony as well, having great lenses. Haven't heard a lot about that with Nikon, honestly. Nikon's kind of fallen off with the lenses and their cameras, but overall Canon and Sony kind of with this. You also have kind of those other standouts with like a Hasselblad, things like that. I think that's how you say that, but I've shot one of those. That was great. Things like that is so important to actually consider. And also just the price. Like, what are you going to pay for a lens like this that you're actually gaining from that? Am I going to make the money back from that lens or not, or from that camera or not? Some things to think about, super important. All right, so now actually diving into the camera by camera performance and my thoughts on it, if I think it's actually worth upgrading on some of these newer camera bodies, or if you should just maintain it out, just keep working with what you got, continue to get better and refine your craft, and then you could actually get better ones. So Sony and Canon, the high performance bodies, so this would be the Sony Alpha, and then the Canon R5 Mark II. So a little bit of personally, I have not upgraded to the Canon R5 Mark II because I feel like the difference is not good enough for me to pay a couple $1,000s for that. Realistically, the lens ecosystem, obviously the same with the RF, so that is a huge bonus. But for me, this camera has been amazing for me. I've had really no issues with it, except my housing flooded, which didn't even really regard this, except that this actually did an amazing job with that weather sealing. So just my thoughts right there is, this camera's been amazing for me. I don't think that it will pay off if I upgraded this camera. That's my thoughts on that. Obviously, if you are a crazy photographer who shoots these huge clients like Nike, Adidas, surf brands, whatever, like big brands, you might need to upgrade because of the better in-body stabilization, or maybe those really small specs that actually make a big difference for you. So always thinking about that, hey, in my situation, is this camera body, is this new lens gonna actually make up for that price? For me, I would say no right now. So that's why I haven't upgraded, but for you, it could be a yes as well. So all of these could be really important for your specific type of shooting, your specific job, or what you're trying to get into. Cons of this is just obviously that increased cost, lens upgrades, and diminishing returns in that image quality, because realistically, the quality of the images isn't getting that much better now because they're already so good. Like, unless you're shooting a crazy thing and cropping in a ton or printing these out as like huge photos or wallpapers across my whole back wall, you're not gonna see much of a difference, if any difference at all. And most people, except maybe a few photographers, can tell the difference in that small image quality. Something to think about as well, super important, is don't be spending a ton of money on something you think that makes a big difference if no one else can really see that difference. So that's something as well. But also new cameras like the Hasselblad X2D Mark II 100C. Pros are really the color, medium format detail, and then that tonal control. Cons of this is very slow burst, heavy files, and not ideal for action shots. The verdict of this is great for studio, fashion, and large prints, but not for a sports and surf upgrade. So this is super important because I wanted to mention this as in regards to, this really matters for what you're doing in your specific niche. Like, I would not get that camera because I really focus on surf, sports, and even if I'm doing lifestyle, it's more of like a outdoors lifestyle, hiking, by the beach, walking, all this stuff, where it's not just in a studio. I've never shot in an actual studio because all my stuff is outside. That's just my style. That's what I like to do. So I would never get a camera like that. I would never pay that much to upgrade, when really it's actually making my photos worse. So just knowing that and just saying, hey, for me, does this make sense in that upgrade? And it might make sense for you or it might not. So there's something super important. Also, the Sony RX1 R3. So the compact full frame, super pocketable, high megapixels, premium camera, fixed lens, battery, and then also very niche camera for this. So super ideal if you're a travel person, or it may be a backup camera even if you're like, hey, I need a tiny backup camera in here. Got a lot of client shoots. If worst comes to worst, I can use this camera and would be okay. Something like that is super important to think about is, hey, maybe you do need a backup camera, maybe you've had issues with cameras before, hey, this is a great option, honestly. This is an amazing option for you to have in your bag. Maybe you're a travel photographer and you need a nice, small, compact camera. This is a perfect option for you. So there are ways where you're like, okay, this does make sense for me to upgrade if I'm getting this out of it. Or man, now if that happened, that would be really bad. If my camera, I've been having lens problems, that lens just shuts down and then something happens to the camera and it won't let me focus with another lens on it. It only works with that lens. Then you probably need a new camera first off, but it would be smart to have a backup camera as well. So just taking all this into consideration. But overall, should you upgrade or wait? If your current gear isn't holding you back, definitely wait. But if the cons and the pros, take a look at those. Say, hey, what am I looking at here? If the pros outweigh the cons, if you're saying, hey, I need a backup camera, and actually I can get this new camera, my old one will be my backup camera. I'm gonna have a great camera, 2 great cameras, and this camera is really gonna upgrade my image quality, video quality, and really just all of my photos all the way around. Then get that camera. But if you're like, man, it would be a nice upgrade, do not get that camera unless you are making a lot of money, which realistically, most photographers and content creators are not. So just taking a look, what makes sense, trading up that strategy is saying, hey, what do I really need? What's the goal with upgrading my gear? And then taking into account, what's my budget and looking into that. And if you need the features now, then that jump may be justified, but also try out those cameras before and rent those cameras. But let me know if you have any questions, but upgrade carefully based on your needs and not just, the hype of something new coming out. That's my final thoughts on that, but hope you have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Subscribe for more videos like this. Have a lot of awesome content coming out soon. And also comment down below what you want to see next, because honestly, we have so many good content ideas, but want to make sure we're posting some awesome stuff that you're going to watch as well. So thanks for watching and see you next video.